All right, we're gonna ferment a hard cider with apple juice and champagne yeast. It's our first time making a hard cider, but with some brewing experience and some fermenting experience, we think we can pull it off, and some YouTube research that we've done. It's very cheap and easy for everything. The yeast and the apple juice, it's about $16, so for 4 gallons. You don't really need a carboy airlock system to do this. There's other ways. But we're using it because we have it. We are adding CO2 later to make a sparkling cider out of this, but everything up to that point is the same. So we are using Costco apple juice that is not from concentrate. It is pasteurized, but we know from YouTube that this is the stuff that works, so we're using it. We need to make sure that everything's really clean and sanitized. So we use PBW and Star Sand to clean our equipment with. You should get your juice to 70 degrees because that's a good pitch temp for this yeast, but you should follow your own instructions on your yeast packet. This one has instructed us to mix this dry yeast with a 1/4 cup of 95 to 100 degree water. So we've done that, and then you have to wait 20 minutes. So we've done that. I have aerated these bottles by opening them and letting a little air get in and shaking them. That helps the yeast grab hold and get going quick so they don't fall out of suspension. We're using Red Star champagne yeast. It's very cheap. It's $1 and it works very well and it's easy to use. We are going to go ahead and get this poured in there and we will be right back. Alright, we're going to pour the apple juice into the carboy. We are being really careful to stay sanitized. We've cleaned and sanitized these things. This is a funnel. We've covered all the crucial spots with foil to keep it from being contaminated. Same with this airlock. We've sort of enclosed it in foil in the top of the carboy. This is foam from the Star Sand. It's perfectly fine to be left in there. You don't fear the foam. So, as I say. So we're going to verify the temp of these to make sure we're near 75 or 70. We're right at 75. We think we're going to lose a little bit of temp, and we're not worried about pitching a little bit too hot. And we've got our yeast right here ready to go. So we just pull this off. My hands are clean. And pour this. Oh, look at this. Off. See that? This. So if any bacteria gets in here, then you're going to have, and the yeast, and the yeast can't take it, then you'll get contamination. Yeah. Quick swirl so that the yeast go in suspension and they'll make it in there. Staying clean and sterile. This is where you grab your airlock and your foil. Staying really clean. Touching only the spots that you need to touch. There. And this is sanitizing solution. I suppose I should have. So I tilt it. There. About halfway. There's a line in there. This guy pops right on the top. Yeast goes in there. Before you know it, you'll have bubbles coming out of the top. So we'll do the fermenting here in a minute, and we'll be right back. All right, now that we've pitched our yeast, we need to ferment. And fermenting is something that you want to keep very consistent, because with a consistent ferment, you will be able to adjust your recipe over time and know that the ferment has stayed the same. You know, you're buying the same apple juice, you're buying the same yeast, all the variables the same. You want your ferment temperature to be the same, because it does affect flavor and lots of different things. So our yeast says it should be 70 degrees. So in a house in the summer, which is the summer right now, a closet is a good place to, or a basement is a good place to try to maintain 70 degrees. In the winter, you know, the middle of your living room is going to stay somewhere around 70 degrees, and your closet might get a little cold. You want it to not get too cool, because your yeast will fall out of suspension and you won't finish fermenting. You can add a yeast nutrient halfway through or anytime during the ferment to keep your yeast going if you are not sure about your temperature staying consistent. We use a fermenting chamber, the same stuff we use for our beer fermenting, and so that is going to provide us with very consistent temperature at what we're going to use, 70 degrees. You know, the fermenting chamber works with a cooling and a heating element and a thermostat. So we tape a sensor to this, and it measures the temperature of the beer, and it sends power to the cooling element when it gets a little too warm, and it sends power to the heating element when it gets a little bit too cold, and that maintains 70 degrees. And your ferment should take a few weeks, and then what we've been told is that if you have a secondary you're going to put it in, you should let it sit there for a month at least to develop its flavor. So we're going to show you our fermenting chambers if you are interested in seeing those. Okay, so this is the fermenting chamber, and this is the temperature control unit, and it has an outlet on it, and this thermostat sends power to the this outlet, the heating pad in there when it gets too cool, and then it sends power to the refrigerator when it gets too warm, and this achieves an ideal temperature. Right now we're floating at 68, but really you can see that the heating light is on, so it's sending power to the heating pad at the moment. And so there's the carboy, the heating element's here, cooling element is here, there's a circulating fan that keeps it consistent, and then we're going to end up taping this sensor, which is the sensor for that unit right here, to get the perfect temperature. So that is how we do our fermenting, and we'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.